In this video, I'm going to be testing a super wide zoom on my Lumix G100. Join me. Roll titles. Well, hi YouTube, Brian James at Micro Four Thirds Guy with you once again, and today I'm going to continue part of the review that I started a few months back on my tiny little Lumix G100, and I'm going to be testing it with this. This is my 7-14 f4 Lumix lens, and you'll find there's a link above there to a review that I did of it last year, but I'm going to try it on this camera because one of the problems that is associated with this camera from a vlogging point of view is it does have an image stabilization in it, but it's a digital image stabilization, electronic, and it has a considerable crop. So I'm normally shooting on a 12mm lens, the 12-32, which is on the camera at the moment, and I find it perfectly adequate. But of course, if I start switching the image stabilization on, then you get this. This is the standard, and if you put it to high, the crop goes like this. So as you can see, quite a considerable crop. Now the problem is, this is a 12mm lens and it's far too close. My arm, I don't have the super strength to hold up a camera for a long time, and my arm's starting to hurt even just holding it up a little bit like this, because I've got to get it, to get it usable, I've got to be a full arm's length out there. So I'm going to try put my considerably heavier 7-14mm lens on and see what sort of effect we can get out of that. So of course I've got the lens set to 12mm now, and it's going to be no different from the last one, which is obvious. However, if I then zoom this one out a little bit, you should see, if I look at the screen there, a considerably better image there. However, we are on 7mm, so you do tend to get a little bit of facial distortion, especially if you bring the lens closer to you. But the problem is it's bigger and heavier. So, is it manageable? Well, this is the question. Let's see what it's like. It's got image stabilization in this lens, but also we've now got the digital image stabilization. And I do walk with a bit of a limp. I don't walk smoothly, I never have done. One leg is slightly shorter than the other. And that's always caused me something of a problem when I've been doing these run and gun shots for vlogging anyway. But I'm just curious as to see how it works out. Now, this is an f4 lens, and it's fully open at f4 at the moment, I believe. So let's just have a little check. Yes, it is fully open. But I'm feeling the weight already. I've had to bring my arm a little bit closer in so that I can rest my elbow onto my chest, and that's causing the camera to go down over because it's hard to hold up. So yes, we do have the advantage with this wide lens on that we can get a much better aspect ratio with a full digital image stabilization, but it's not really usable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to the 12-32, put it back to normal stabilization, and I'll have a little bit of an assessment because my arm is killing me. See you in a second. There, now that's considerably easier, but as you'll see, as I say, because I do walk with a little bit of a limp, you tend to find that the stabilization has gone now. The lens has image stabilization in it, but you still have lost a lot of that effectiveness. So what's the conclusions on this? Well, it depends, you see. It depends what you consider vlogging is. I have a bit of a controversial view on vlogging, because I had a lot of the comments on the G100 which said, oh, it's no good as a vlogging camera, it's no good as a vlogging camera. Well, it depends how you consider vlogging. Vlogging is a video log. It is literally a log done on video. And the first vlog I ever saw that I ever remember was some 50 or 60 years ago. It's when you had the Apollo astronauts, and they had cameras up there and they were keeping a video log, but by a different name, of their experiences up there. That was vlogging, in as much as it is today. Vlogging also sort of took place on TV, much more recently, when you did start getting video cameras, analog at first, then digital, where people would be doing sort of long-term projects, long-term weight loss projects, or if they had some sort of endurance thing, and the TV would be covering them, where they had to film themselves. That was vlogging. It didn't necessarily entail wandering along and talking into a camera at the same time as you're walking. It entailed making a log. Quite often these were done in bedrooms or in hotel rooms or whatever, and broadcast out, and they told the story. Vlogging to a lot of people has now changed, so for a vlogging camera it has to be able to be stabilized and on the move and have a fantastic picture, when you're doing things yourself, it has to be stabilised. You almost have to have gimbals to be able to do everything. But to me, that isn't necessarily vlogging. It's one aspect of vlogging. It's a sort of run and gun type of vlogging. And I have said this a few times for me, that the Lumix G100 is a great little vlogging camera. But I tend to use the little tripod. I tend to put it onto something and I'll do a log to the camera, a video log to the camera. So I'll agree with the people who said that it's not great in comparison to the ZV-1 Sony or whatever as a vlogging camera when you're talking about run and gun. But I do think as a pure video log camera, if you're going to keep it fairly static and keep it on a tripod, which I normally do because I actually don't like walking with the camera in my hand, and my arm's already going stiff. That's part of the problem. My arms get stiff when I'm doing this sort of thing. So from that point of view, yes, it isn't a great run and gun camera, but I still consider it a really good vlog camera to do a video log. But what do you think? I saw a lot of the comments last time. Do you think I'm right on that idea of vlogging? Has the terminology changed forever? Has the technology's changed? Or are we just seeing something which is a different aspect of it? Let me know in the comments below. I'd really be interested. My overall thoughts on the G100 though, with the big lens, is it's not worth it. I would much rather take something like the EM5 Mark III, which has full image stabilization in, and you can put the same lenses onto the EM5 Mark III, but you're going to get much better image stabilization. And the camera, with something like this 12 to 32 on, isn't a huge amount bigger or heavier than this G100. So if I was doing run and gun type shots, I would probably use that. There are also some of the more compact Lumix cameras, the GX85 or GX80, depending on which country you're in. That's going to give you fantastic results with this and have better image stabilization. So as an overall vlogging camera, as I say, if it's static, it's great. But the G100, even with a bigger lens on, to get around that crop for the digital stabilization is really a no-go. So if that's what you're after, don't buy the G100. But there are other fantastic Micro Four Thirds cameras in the range which you could use equally as well. So whether you are vlogging or taking stills, whether you're walking or standing still using it on a tripod, keep on taking the camera out, keep on having fun with your photography, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.